Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in action tomorrow against the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia in the second round of the group phase match in the ongoing African Cup of Nations. It's a clash of the Eagles, the Super Eagles versus the Carthage Eagles. It's a clash of the Titans. Can the Super Eagles of Nigeria make a statement by defeating the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia in the second leg of the group phase, or will the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia silence the Super Eagles? In this video, we'll preview the game between the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus Tunisia in the ongoing African Cup of Nations in the second leg of the group phase. So going into this game, it's indeed a clash of the Titan. Why did I say it's a clash of the Titan? If we take a look at the group standing in Group C in the African Cup of Nations, Tunisia currently top the group with 3 points after defeating Uganda by 3-1 in their opening encounter. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria sluggishly defeated Tanzania by 2-1. So Tunisia sit top of the group with 3 points and goal difference of +2, while the Super Eagles of Nigeria sit second with 3 points and goal difference of +1. So if we take a look at the clash, it's indeed a heavyweight clash, like I said earlier, and it's a clash of the Titans, because if we take a look at the global ranking in FIFA that was released sometime last month, the Super Eagles of Nigeria currently are ranked 38th in the world and 5th in Africa, while Tunisia are ranked 41st in the world and 6th in Africa. So you can see how close it is when it comes to ranking. Even though ranking doesn't play football, performance, tactics, and counter-tactics is what actually plays football. But then, going into this particular encounter is indeed a huge clash, as it is a make or break for either the Super Eagles of Nigeria or the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia. So, if we take a look at the previous encounter or previous matches that the Super Eagles have actually played en route to this particular competition, the last 5 matches, in 14th of October 2025, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Benin by 4-0. That was in the World Cup qualification in Group C as well. And that was the last game the Super Eagles of Nigeria played in the World Cup qualification that actually gave them the playoff spot in the World Cup qualification. And in the playoff competition, on the 13th of November, Nigeria defeated Gabon by 4-1 to book a place in the final of the World Cup playoff. And on 16th of November 2025, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played the final of the World Cup playoff against Democratic Republic of Congo. That game ended 1-1, and Democratic Republic of Congo went on to defeat the Super Eagles of Nigeria by 4-3. And that was how the Super Eagles of Nigeria actually missed out in the Intercontinental playoff in the World Cup for a World Cup spot in United States of America. So in preparation for the African Cup of Nations, on the 16th of December, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played an international friendly against the Pharaohs of Egypt. And the Pharaohs of Egypt defeated the Super Eagles of Nigeria by 2-1. And in the African Cup of Nations recently that kicks off on the 21st of December, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played their opening encounter on the 23rd of December against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. And the Super Eagles were victorious, even though the performance was poor, but the Super Eagles defeated Tanzania by 2-1. And if we take a look at the last 5 games of the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia as well, coming into this particular encounter, the Tunisia actually took part in Arab Cup competition. Tunisia also is a member of the Union of Arab Football Association. So en route to the African Cup of Nations, they actually took part in the Arab Cup, and they were in Group A in that particular competition. Now, their last 5 matches, on the 1st of December, Syria defeated Tunisia by 1-0. In their second group game, Tunisia take on Palestine, and that ended 1-1. And on the 7th of December, Tunisia defeated Qatar by 3-0. In preparation to the African Cup of Nations after the Arab Cup, the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia played an international friendly against Botswana, where they defeated Botswana by 2-1. And in their opening encounter in the African Cup of Nations that is currently ongoing, the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia defeated Uganda by 3-1. So that has been their previous meeting coming into this particular game to take on the Super Eagles of Nigeria. If we take a look at the head-to-head meetings between the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. In 2009, Nigeria travels to Tunisia in a FIFA World Cup qualification game in Group B, and the first leg ended goalless in Tunisia, and the second leg ended 2-2 in Nigeria. So it was a stalemate over both legs. On the 22nd of January in 2016, in the African Nation Championship in Group C, Nigeria versus Tunisia played a 1-1 draw. On the 17th of July in 2019, in African Cup of Nations knockout stage. In fact, that was a third place match in 2019 edition of African Cup of Nations. The Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Tunisia by 1-0 to actually win the bronze medal. On the 18th of October in 2020, the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Carthage Eagle met in an international friendly, and it ended 1-1. On the 23rd of January in 2022, in the African Cup of Nations in round 16, Tunisia defeated Nigeria by 1-0. In that encounter, Alex Iwobi actually saw red, and Carthage Eagles of Tunisia went on to knock out Super Eagles from the competition in 2022. Let's not forget, the 2021 edition of the African Cup of Nations was what was played in 2022. So the Tunisia knocked out Super Eagles of Nigeria from the competition in 2022. And in 2023, if we look at when the African Cup of Nations was hosted again by Ivory Coast, the Super Eagles of Nigeria were the finalists. And so coming into this competition, the Super Eagles of Nigeria is the runner-up from the last edition of the African Cup of Nations, while Ivory Coast is the defending champion in the ongoing African Cup of Nations. So it has always been a tough encounter between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia. And tomorrow will not be an exception. And I expect the Super Eagles of Nigeria to just brace up and be in their A game. Not that performance they actually put up against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. If we put up such performance, we put up against Tanzania, I think it's as good as saying the Tunisian side would definitely have a free ride over the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But before I go deep into the analysis of the game, where the key battle and who to watch out for in the game can be won, let's take a look at the predicted 11, or my predicted 11 going into this particular encounter. For the Super Eagles of Nigeria, if we take a look at the last game we played against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania, Eric Shell set up the team in a kind of 4-4-2 formation. And if we want to approach this particular game in that same manner against the Tunisian side that played 4-3-3 with three midfielders, I think they will have that weight in the midfield ahead against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and that might just be an advantage to them. So I will expect the Super Eagles of Nigeria to set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, so we'll have that additional strength in the midfield. And having said that, my predicted 11 for the Super Eagles of Nigeria: in goal will be Stanley Nwabali, even though his performance last time against Tanzania was not quite convincing because there was no communication very well between Stanley Nwabali and the defense line. So I'll still go with Stanley Nwabali because currently is the safe hand we have in the Super Eagles national team. The fullback, the right back, I will go with Bright Osai Samuel, and the left back I'll still go with Zaidu Sanusi. Not having a convincing performance against Tanzania, but I hope, knowing fully well who our opponent will be this time around, Zaidu Sanusi need to up his game and be at his best. The centre backs I will go with Calvin Bassey and Simi Ajayi. Well, Simi Ajayi, despite getting a goal, his performance to me was not quite convincing. I would have preferred the manager to go with Awozie and Calvin Bassey, but then I haven't won the man of the match in the last game against Tanzania. So my centre-back pairing, I'll retain Simi Ajayi and Calvin Bassey. In a 4-2-3-1 formation, the two midfield pivots, I will go with Wilfred Ndidi and Alex Iwobi as the two midfield pivots. The three attacking midfielder, the left wing, I will go with Ademola Lookman. The right wing, I will go with Samuel Chukwueze. And the number 10 role, I will go with Ako Adams, and up front will still be Victor Osimhen. So if we take a look at the lineup, like I said, I expect the Super Eagles to line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. That might just be an advantage because the way we actually played, I know the Super Eagles of Nigeria will want to continue with that high pressing game, which is definitely good. But sometimes we can be vulnerable at the back with the way we set up against Tanzania. And if we continue in that way, the Tunisian side will be very much ready to actually give us the possession, sit back and ready to counter us with that and ready to take us on a counter. And that might just be something that will actually count for them, because the pace of Elias Ashuri and Mashuri and also Saad might just be something that might just be the weapon that we use to actually cause damage in our defense line. So it will be better when we have that additional defensive strength in the midfield that will partner with Wilfred Ndidi. I wouldn't mind if I were to be Eric Shaw. Since Frank Onyeka is a box-to-box midfielder, I might even play the two midfield pivot to be Wilfred Ndidi and Frank Onyeka, while the number 10 role I will shift Alex Iwobi to play the number 10 role behind Victor Osimhen, because we actually saw what Alex Iwobi did in that game against Tanzania. He was the only midfielder that was actually precise when it comes to the passes and how he connects his ball to the final third. So we saw the cross he actually brought in that connects Semi Ajayi, and the pass he actually gave to Ademola Lookman that actually saw the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeat Tanzania. So it's definitely going to be a very tactical one, because while the Super Eagles of Nigeria depends on high-pressing football, and sometimes we can be vulnerable at the back, the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia rely solely on counterplay, and that is what we saw even in their game against Uganda. They were very quick. The upfront of Elias Eshuri, who is also the forward man for FC Copenhagen, played his football in Denmark. He's a very pacey player and very clinical when it comes to finishing. So the key battle will be between Zaidou Sanusi, who plays as a left back, and also against Elias Ashuri, who plays as the right wing attacker for the Tunisians. So, and that is why I say Zaidou Sanusi just need to be in his A game in order for us to be able to curtail the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia. Because if we play the kind of game we played Tanzania against Tunisia, we'll be in for it. Because the Tunisian side, when they are attacking, when they are going out for an attack, or when they have that ball going for a counter play, they are very clinical in their finish. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria, while we rely solely on high pressing and how to see how we will destroy the defense line of the Tunisian side, one thing is certain: we should watch our defense line. I would expect Kevin Bassi and Simi Ajayi to up their game and have that understanding in the defense line in order not to create loophole for any loose ball for the Tunisian side to actually get hold of. And also in the Tunisian side, it's definitely going to be a battle between the Tunisian defenders and Victor Osimhen. And that was why I said in my match reaction after the Tanzanian game, we all know that currently Victor Osimhen is a very dangerous striker, and as such, defenders will always be on him. And Victor Osimhen with his experience definitely will know how to carry these defenders aside, creating space for Ako Adams, who will play behind, and also the wingers, talking about Ademola Lookman and Samuel Chukwueze, to take advantage and cause the damage. We know defenders will definitely be on Victor Osimhen. And if Victor Osimhen is able to overpower the defense line of the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia, believe me, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will have the edge over Tunisia going into this particular game. So it's definitely going to be a tough one. We've seen it in time past when both teams meet. It has always been a tight contest. If not 1-1, it is 0-0 or 1-0. So it's definitely going to be tight. And I expect the Super Eagles of Nigeria to be very well coordinated, well organized in the defense if we actually want to get results against Tunisia. Because a win for either the Super Eagles of Nigeria or the Tunisian side will definitely be a big boost, as the team will definitely have one leg already in the round of 16. So going into the game, it's a very big match. It's a huge clash for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and I expect us to up our game, not what we play against Tunisia. Prediction. Yeah, if we look at the game we played against Tanzania, we really didn't take our chances, and that was because we were not clinical enough in front of goal. And if we don't take our chances against Tunisia going into this particular game, believe me, the Tunisian side will punish us with every chance they will have, because they are very clinical going forward. They are not like the Tanzanian. The Tanzanian side we played, If they were clinical, they would have caused more problem for the Super Eagles defense line. And that would have, that would have made our position currently in this AFCON a very difficult one. So, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria going into this game, they need to use this game and make a statement as well. We are in this competition as well for the trophy and not just to watch. So, my prediction going for this particular game is definitely going to be tight. As a Nigerian, something is telling me the Super Eagles will win by 2-1. But then, another feeling I have is that it's going to be a draw game. I say a goalless draw. I don't know why. But then it's football. Anything can happen. But let me just take the mind of being in Nigeria. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will defeat Tunisia by 2-1. Who will be in your predicted 11 going into the game against the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia? And what will be your prediction in the game? Drop your thoughts down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and catch you in the next video. Bye.